asking you whether you're ready to commit to all combat troops being out of Iraq within a year.
What I've said is that I will move as quickly as possible. I hope to have nearly all out within a year. We don't know what we're going to inherit from President Bush, but there is a big problem looming on the horizon that we had better pay attention to, and that is President Bush is intent upon negotiating a long-term agreement with Iraq, which would have permanent bases, permanent troop presence, and he claims he does not need to come to the United States Congress to get permission. He only needs to go to the Iraqi parliament. That is his stated public position. He was recently in the region, and it is clear that he intends to push forward on this to try to bind the United States government and his successor to his failed policy. I have been strongly opposed to that. We should not be planning permanent bases and long-term troop commitments. Obviously, we've got to rein in President Bush, and I've proposed legislation, and I know that members of the Congressional Black Caucus are looking at this as well. We need legislation in a hurry which says, no, Mr. Bush, you are the President of the United States of America. You cannot bind our country without coming to the United States Congress. This is a treaty that would have to be presented and approved, and it will not be.
I just want to tell the presidential candidates and everyone, we're just getting started. We're going to continue. We're going to have to take a quick commercial break. When we come back, you're going to see a different set. We're all going to be seated up here. All the rules are going to go away. We're going to have an important conversation. Whatever rules are left, that is, they're all going to go away, and we're going to discuss the issues in this campaign. Much more of our debate here when we come back. Welcome back to the Democratic presidential debate. We're here in Myrtle Beach, South Carolina, with 3 Democratic presidential candidates. Also want to remind all of our viewers out there in the United States and around the world, they can always go to CNNpolitics.com. They can continue to watch what's going on here and get a lot more information on the positions, the substantive positions of all of these candidates. If they need more information, you need more information, that's the place to go, CNNpolitics.com. I want to begin the second part of this debate with a question for Senator Obama. And I want to refer to Congressman Charlie Rangel, one of the most powerful members of the House of Representatives, and specifically on this Martin Luther King Jr. Day, a day so important to all of us here in the United States. He's a supporter of Hillary Clinton, and he said yesterday, and I'm quoting now, that he likes you, Senator Obama. He's very proud of your accomplishments, but he went on to say that black voters should not do what makes us feel good, but what's good for our great nation. And I wonder if you want to respond to that notion that it may make a lot of African Americans feel good to vote for you, but it might not necessarily be the best thing for the United States.
Well, first of all, Charlie's absolutely right that African Americans should vote for what's best for them, their children, and this country. And the same way that I think Hillary feels that women should vote for what's best for them, their children, and their country.
Would you mind
the same way that John...
Say that a little more often.
Absolutely. Same way that John, I think, he wants white males to vote for women and African Americans. But, so I think Charlie's right in principle. Now, obviously, he and I differ in terms of what would be best for the nation. I wouldn't be running if I didn't think that I can bring the country together most effectively, that I can overcome the special interests in Washington most effectively, that I can inspire the American people to get involved in their government most effectively. So his principle is right. He just has miscalculated in his equation. I get along great with Charlie, so I'm sure that as president, I look forward to working with him as chairman of the House Ways and Means Committee to get things done for the families of America.
I'll move on to the next question from Suzanne, unless either of you want to make a comment. Suzanne.
It's kind of related to Senator Edwards. I've spoken with a lot of African-American voters in South Carolina this week, and a lot of them say that electing a black president, that this would change the way whites see African-Americans and the way African-Americans see themselves. Do you think that this is a valid consideration for voters in determining who's president?
Well, first of all, I don't think it's for me to tell anybody, and particularly not African Americans, what they should consider when they're voting. I think they ought to be able to consider anything that they think is fair and reasonable and important to them. What I would say, though, is on the issue, since we are here on Dr. King's Day, on the issues of equality, ending poverty in America, the things that he devoted so much of his life to, no one has been, and with all respect to the two other candidates, no one has been more aggressive on these issues than I have. I mean, ending poverty is the single most important cause in my life. I'm not suggesting for a minute the two of them haven't spoken about it, because they obviously have. But I have made it central to what I'm doing, central to my campaign, and I have been trying to drive it in this campaign and welcome everything they have to say. I have a comprehensive set of ideas about how we end poverty in this country. I think it is a huge moral issue facing the United States of America, and it is an enormous issue facing the African American community. If you're black, you're much more likely to be poor, you're much less likely to have health care coverage. That community is hurt worse by poverty than any community in America. And it's our responsibility, not just for the African American community, but for America as a nation, to take on this moral challenge, to try as best we can to walk in the shadow of Dr. King and try to make certain that we take this cause on, and I intend to do it. It will be central to the work that I do as President of the United States, ending poverty in America.
Let's let Senator Clinton respond, and then Senator Obama.
Well, I respect John's commitment to ending poverty. That's why 35 years ago, when I graduated from law school, I didn't go to work for a law firm. I went to work for Marian Wright Edelman at the Children's Defense Fund, because ending poverty, particularly ending poverty for children, has been the central core cause of everything that I've been doing for 35 years. I care deeply about what for me is a mission, and it does infuse everything that I do and why I'm in public office and why before I was in public service. Chairing the Legal Services Corporation so that people got free legal aid when they would otherwise be put out of the courthouse, standing up time and time again for health care and education for abused and neglected kids and kids in the foster care system. But I think that what we want to do is have a little reality check here, because how is it best to end poverty? We know we've got to maintain programs that are there to help people in need. But look at what's happened over the space of the last 7 years. The average African-American family has lost $2,600 in income. Compare that to the prior 8 years when we had a president who took on the fights of the 90s and stood up against the Republicans, often at great cost, and the typical African-American family income went up $7,600 during the 1990s. We know we've got to attack poverty by making sure the economy works for everybody. We have to lift up the idea of good jobs with good benefits. And I think that we know what we need to do. And if we have a president who is willing from day one to make it a mission to create shared prosperity again, that's going to be good for every American. And that's what I'm going to offer as president. That's what I've been talking about. That's what I've been working for. And that's what I intend to do. And I think we can get results for every American.
Senator.
Well, I think John has run a terrific campaign and has focused on poverty during the campaign. But John, I have to say, first of all, I have put forward a comprehensive poverty plan that talks about early childhood education, health care for children, dealing with ex-offenders, and I'll be happy to share it with you. I know that you don't have time to read all my stuff, just as I don't have time to read yours. But understand this, I haven't just been talking...
Maybe I can read it when I can't go to sleep.
Well, there you go. That's when I usually read my stuff. Yeah, absolutely. But I think it's important. It's not just talking about it during a campaign. As I said, I started my career after college working in low-income neighborhoods.